Acknowledge Dave is chairing this meeting, so I don't mean to get out in front of the chair of the committee.
No, go ahead. I think your update will be helpful for everybody.
All right. So thank you for being here. As we're trying to land the strategic plan, it was suggested by Terry Edwards, as well as Suzanne Obenshain as rector and vice rector, and Terry was chair of the strategic planning committee for the board. And it was her recommendation that we try to meet with the individual committees of the board to take a look through the lens of that committee's jurisdiction, if you will, on aspects of the strategic plan. And I know that it appears that we have both Dave and Suzanne are the two board members, unless I'm missing somebody from the screen. And I know that each of you have participated in at least one of the other ones. But I think so I won't do a big
Steve
overview.
Smith is also here.
Tom
Galati is here.
And Tom Galati as well.
Oh, fantastic. Great. The labels aren't showing up.
Well, sorry. I'm just on my cell phone. I'm actually home with a little bug.
Oh, well, let's hope mine is just an allergy, not a bug. So hope you feel better soon. And Tom, great. And Tom, thank you for also acknowledging your presence in the committee as well. So today we're happy to talk about the big broad brushstrokes of the strategic plan as there's interest. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through kind of a review because I think many of you have seen those reviews and you've certainly seen the drafts of the strategic plan. But I thought, given this particular one is just with the athletics committee, I thought we could take a look at the lens of the strategic plan through the lens of the athletics committee. I believe, Chris, if you wouldn't mind maybe introducing some of maybe the prompting questions, but we can really take this conversation anywhere members of the Board of Visitors would like to go with it as it relates to the strategic plan.
Sure, I'd be happy to just share this. And I know we've had several of you have been part of other conversations. So just in terms of the layout of the plan, right now we're athletics. So we have a few guiding questions, but just to kind of give a sense of where elements related to, like directly related to athletics kind of surface in the draft plan. And then part of this conversation is like, is that, does that fit with kind of vision? Does that fit with kind of the direction that athletics and the types of decisions that you all make would help? But, within the plan right now, one of the kind of the higher level goals is for us to finish in the top half of the Learfield Directors Cup standings. And so as kind of a 2040 vision, that's one of those kind of goals that is currently in the draft plan that would have been made available to you all. Throughout the plan, one of probably the primary then places where we see within the pillars reference to athletics is really more within the physical infrastructure as it relates to directly talking about, creating a new campus commons, which would include a Bridgeforth Stadium expansion and a redesign of that part of campus with other things. Other than that, you can identify other places where athletics and the focus on student athletes may surface, certainly in terms of potential for, I know being a student athlete is essentially a full-time job anyways, but places where there are opportunities for mentorship, opportunities for work-based learning, or opportunities for student employment as it might relate within the athletics realm. Certainly the ability for athletics and all the services and resources that are provided to our student athletes would fit within that. Some of these more specific elements, even if a specific or a direct reference to athletes is not there. I may be missing some things, but I know as I've reviewed the plan and thought about it over the last several months in terms of where does athletics and where does this committee maybe sit within that, those are the key elements that are in the current draft. And so as President Jim, you referenced some of the guiding questions we had was simply, do the plan pillars align sufficiently with JMU's goal of finishing in the top half of the Directors Cup standings? And maybe I start there and then see And we have a few other questions, but maybe we start the conversation there, and if others have other input that they want to add, but we'll start there.
And I'll just add two quick things as you're thinking about that question. Athletics also is infusing so much in terms of the student experience. I love the president's story when he did a secret shopper trip of the student in the Forbes Center who said they don't attend football games, but they love what it does for our campus. They love what it does for belonging. So also infusing lots of our goals and enrollment, other pieces that would not maybe not explicitly call out athletics, but be part of that.
And Chris, if you'll bear with me for just a moment, I think just a point of clarification. When Chris talks about that top half, I think we've said top half among FBS athletics departments. And so just for context, the Learfield Directors Cup standings is a measure that's put on that measures postseason appearances and success across your sports portfolio. So if you make the college football playoff, if you make a NCAA volleyball tournament, baseball tournament, you accumulate points throughout the course of that season. And so there are about, with Sacramento State and North Dakota State joining the FBS, I think there's about 135, 136, I think now, FBS athletic departments as we move into next academic year. So to be in the top half puts you in that 67 to 68 range. As you might imagine, there are about 65, 66 Autonomy 4 institutions, and then there's about 68, 69 Group of 5, Group of 6 institutions. So, that top half does put us kind of in that Autonomy 4 kind of category, if you want to rank yourself that way. As I've shared with the president, as I've shared with our division heads team, one of the challenges that I think we have when we talk about measuring across the board success, and this goes to my athletics committee chairs, really kind of athletic points that he included all the way back to September. We talk about increasing revenues, being as efficient as we possibly can with our expenses. When we talk about increasing revenues, that fundraising focus, but we talk a lot about football. And when David mentions football being a aid in student recruitment and visibility, there's sometimes a challenge there between comprehensive success and football success. And so that's something that we do continue, admittedly, to struggle with, or to not necessarily struggle with, but to try to reconcile in our minds. And I just wanted to provide that context there as well.
Well, we're still getting feedback on the metrics, and we'll
Yes, sir.
be presenting some metrics to the strategic planning committee next week, I believe, we're scheduled. But Matt, you've brought up that you might have a substitute way that we assess athletic success within that, maybe being focused on success in our 2 basketball programs and football as being the yardstick that might better reflect the institution's focus.
Yeah, I mean, we have talked. I kind of gave a primer on what the Directors Cup, Learfield Directors Cup standings are. You've probably heard me talk a little bit about the Bubas Cup. I know that I've talked about that in our athletics committee meetings, Dave. And so we don't get credit for a swim and dive championship or a lacrosse championship because they don't award points to those championships that you don't even participate in that league. And so in all sports standings for us in our respective conference doesn't make a lot of sense. The next one on that level would be that National Directors Cup. But, to the president's point, one of the things that we have talked about is we have smart people on this campus. Is there a way that we can kind of develop and evaluate ourselves with our own metrics that does maybe put weight on what a college football playoff appearance would be, or a post Christmas Day bowl game appearance would be? What does March Madness look like to us? Obviously, the visibility that's going to come from our women's basketball team winning the Sun Belt Championship. There's visibility with that, and much to Tawana's delight, there's also the women's basketball financial units that you get for that, and so that will produce some positive revenue for us as we move forward. This will be the second academic year upcoming where women's basketball, NCAA awards those financial units for that. And so it's a long-winded answer, Mr. President, to your suggestion, but it's just something that we continue to evaluate and seek input for.
So to our board members, maybe we can ask that question more broadly. Does what we're seeing in the emerging strategic plan align with the board's vision for seeing athletics as part of this? Kind of broader thoughts.
Well, go ahead, Steve.
I think it was me. Is that Dave?
Yep, go ahead,
It's
Tom.
Tom.
Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, Dave, I think that what Matt always talks about with the athletics being the front porch of the university, I think that that's imperative. I think it's important to be strategic about how we're going to grow our programs, and I think it's important that people understand the importance of our athletics. It's not happenstance and just chance, or I don't even think it's the beauty of our campus, which is a beautiful campus. I don't think it's any of that has 45,000 plus students wanting to come on campus. I think that athletics is a really important factor, an important driver of our admissions, of our success, of our student excitement to be on campus. And so I guess I can't stress enough how important athletics are to our strategic plan and the growth of the university. I just think that it's imperative that we do that well, and that we do it right, and that we continue to invest real money and time and effort, of course, into our athletic program, because I see it every day when I'm on campus. Just the excitement around our sports team. So yes, to answer the question, I think our strategic, what we're looking to do is falling in line with what the students see as important as it pertains to our athletics program. So I love that we're looking to really kind of put that on a pedestal, if you will, and invest in it in our athletics.
I would certainly agree with Tom's comments, and again, I think with what we're going through right now and looking at the redesign of the campus, I think one of the things we should think about. I know we've talked a lot about having to demolish Godwin Hall, and how do you redo that, and how do you place the Hart School and kinesiology. And it just kind of brought me back to a little bit of my experience at UT. They've got one of the most fantastic indoor practice facilities down there for, both the football team and baseball team. And obviously the weather in Knoxville is a little better than the weather in Harrisonburg. But I think as we continue to consider that, we ought to consider how do we, enhance some of the practice facilities. How maybe do you tie in a new pool for our, great swimming and diving teams, and, tie in some academic facilities with that as well, maybe to offset some of the costs of that going forward. So I'd just like to throw that out on the table as part of maybe the design program as we go forward. I know space is limited when you add on to the football stadium, but it's just some thought processes that kind of rolled around in my mind after we've had some of the conversations. If we want to go to that next level and potentially at some point in time move from the Sun Belt Conference to another conference that certainly has a little bit more revenue sharing than what we do in the Sun Belt.
Thank you, Steve. That's Matt is actively trying to look at different options, particularly swim and dive. I think our preferred path is if we could find a good community partner, as opposed to doing something entirely on our own. And we're going to be working with planners to take a look at a number of different options. And Tawana is leading a team to start looking at, when we take down Godwin, I'll just say, where we can find temporary homes for the academic programs. Obviously, the other programs that are connected, like swim and dive, and then prioritizing requests for that space. For both kinesiology and the Heart School, there's some interesting, wonderful synergies that are being that are possible with a reimagining of the center campus with a stadium district for both sports management, hospitality, and then for kinesiology, obviously connected to that, and the potential to bring a healthcare partner to our campus and incorporating that. So we are looking to leverage resources as many ways as we can as we think about that fourth pillar of a campus for the future. I think, Dave, you were going to jump in a minute ago.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, obviously, I think everything that has been incorporated is where we need to be. Obviously, as we look for metrics, I think the April Cup is a good one for us to look at. But obviously, the continuing support that we provide all student athletes, should continue to be maintained and enhanced. But I don't think there's anything addition that wasn't already previously included that needs to be added or reevaluated.
One of the questions here is also about space utilization, and the university has made it recent investments on having more concerts on campus. Of course, we have some exciting ones coming up here, and looking to do so in Bridgeforth Stadium to board members in particular, but also open certainly to co-chairs and others. Have thoughts on how facility and stadium utilization for concerts and events should be integrated here. I know we've had ongoing conversations on that, but that will certainly be a piece of this. I'm curious if others have new thoughts there.
David, Tom here. Not new thoughts, but I have no idea how you get venues to Harrisonburg, how you fill those stadiums. But if we're up to me, like every weekend, we would have someone either at the AUBC or at Bridgeforth rocking the house, because I think Matt said this early on, to think that we could pay for new facilities or even, continue to do anything with the facilities we have and make money at them when you have, 6 home games a year at Bridgeforth and, 11 or 12 or whatever we have at the AUBC, it's impossible. So I don't know what we need to do. I say that I don't know how it works at all, but like why we're not getting more acts here to Harrisonburg. I think that it seems to me to be low hanging fruit, unless it's just that hard to get them here and to actually make money. I don't know, but boy, there are beautiful facilities that we have, and instead of going over the mountain to Charlottesville, I would love it if we could capitalize on what we've already got, so that we could continue to build what we want and actually have some income to do it. So maybe, I guess that's a comment, and maybe even a question in there is, maybe someone could explain just a brief explanation as to why we aren't even getting more people, more events in these facilities.
Yeah. Oh, first off, I love the name Tom Galati and the Heartbreakers. That sounds like a perfect opportunity to bring somebody in. But Tom, to your point, this academic year was a phenomenal opportunity for us, going back to Jim Gaffigan with Family Weekend, with now Cole Swindell and his acts that he has that first weekend in May. And I do want to give Tawana a ton of credit for her partnership with athletics in that space to bring those 2 events here. We have to prove that we can do these events and do them well. Like, that's what this academic year was about for us more than anything else, is being able to build rapport and build trust with these different promoters, to know that when they're sending acts here, that we ticket well, that we market well, that, when these artists come in and perform in our venues, that we put on good events. And so ticket sales were phenomenal for Gaffigan. They are trending in the right direction with 2 months to go. And as students start to pick that up over these next several, 6-7 weeks, I think we're going to have 2 great shows this year. that really allow us to start to lean into that. And, 2 becomes 3, becomes 4. I think we're just now, scratching the surface of what's possible and what's potential there. But we had to prove this year that we can do it the right way.
Got it. Thanks, Matt.
And Tawana and Craig are here. I don't know if that to put you on the spot, but with the Bridgeforth stage and some of those pieces, I know we've done at least some legwork to begin conversations on that. I don't know if there's any pieces there.
Trying to hit the right button. Sorry. Craig may want to speak to this, but I know we started looking at it in conjunction with when we have to replace the field to go ahead and plan on making sure that we have the capability to cover the turf so that we can have events like you're suggesting, because we've not done that in the past. We would have had to rent it. And so we want to make sure that we do that in a way that, works with all of this, with having festivals, not only in the AUBC, but also in the stadium. But Craig, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, but yeah, we were just going to incorporate that into the next field replacement that is coming up. It's imminent. We're going to have to replace the turf on the field. So we were just going to incorporate that as part of the capital project so that it's all a package deal and that it's all warranty protecting. It's integrated into the project. But other than that, I mean, when you're talking about having events at the stadium, there's a lot of logistics involved in that. We've been looking at it and we're excited to do it. It's just, I think logistically, it's just a challenge to get the acts here and to to try to balance out the costs that it takes to put an event on, including the costs involved with paying the acts and how much they're looking for. And we're on a kind of a wonky route. We're off the beaten path for a lot of those acts. So there's a lot of moving parts related to having concerts in the stadium just because of the sheer magnitude of it. But yeah, so the protection, now the stage is a little different. The stage we would probably still plan on renting. What we're talking about is just the protection of the actual football field. So if you remember when Metallica was at Virginia Tech, they replaced the field as part of that concert. So they didn't really have a protection involved in that one. They just replaced the whole thing.
Other aspects of the strategic plan as it intersects to athletics or broadly. Again, each of these is an opportunity to raise areas of support or concerns about any aspects of the strategic plan. I will say, as I look through the various vision teams, I think that athletics actually intersects across the board. The whole idea of the Madison Promise and the soft skills or power skills, as we're calling them, those, certainly the student athletes are developing them in ways that others are, but all the support mechanisms around athletics also gives us great opportunities. I mentioned earlier, direct connections with programs like kinesiology, like the Hart School for Hospitality are great examples. And you can go pretty much right down the line as we talk about co-curricular outcomes that we look for, work-based learning opportunities. The whole business of sports is an enormous growing field, and people don't realize all of the cross intersections. Certainly great opportunities for both undergraduate and graduate research, aligning with workforce for the future, as well as economic development. All of these activities are huge drivers. When we had our early meeting with leadership from the city, and I brought out the idea, Tom, of bringing a concert and artist series during the summer, and I put it right in front of them. I said, tell us now if you'd rather not have the hassle of noise or traffic or other things in the summer. They said, no, the people of Harrisonburg realize the cash registers don't ring as often when the students aren't here. So if we can bring that tourism market in and expose people to the offerings of Harrisonburg, we are very excited about that. So I think I think there's great intersections all the way through, and obviously the 7th Vision team is reimagining campus for the future and certainly intersects.
Yeah, that makes sense, Jim.
As I've done in the past, I don't believe that even though we've scheduled an hour, doesn't mean we need to cover an hour. We ask a lot of our board members' time. So maybe, and I know not all of you have a visual representation, maybe I could just kind of go around the horn with the board members who are present and just see if they have additional comments or questions they'd like to make. Tom, I'll start with you, then I'll go to Steve, Dave, and then I'll close out with the rector to see if you have other comments or questions.
I don't, Jim. I don't have anything other than what I said, which is just keeping athletics really at the forefront of our thought process and for our strategic planning sake. Just letting others outside of this committee realize the impact that athletics has on every area of our university and frankly, most areas of our community. You know, I do a lot of the restaurants in our area, after games, before games, basketball, football, even some baseball games, like some of these local restaurants know the value. You know, some of them cater for our different teams. And so it is bigger than just, okay, well, big deal, Tom, you like sports. And so do a few other guys on campus. It really is the front porch. And so whatever we need to do to continue to expand it strategically and smartly, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I would agree with what Tom said. I think the athletics and having a prominent athletics department also gives us a lot of opportunity to engage donors that do like sports and continue to get their participation in, you know, making, you know, donations to the university, endowments to the university, and continuing to perpetuate our sports program because it takes money to do it. And I think making the investments in our facilities will just further the ability to attract not only good athletes, but you know, a lot of donors that will participate as well.
Dave, any final thoughts or questions or comments?
No, all I can say is, I mean, everything has been said, but not everybody has said it. So in the sake of time, I won't say it.
All right, fair enough. Madam Rector, I'll offer you maybe the closing words on behalf of the board.
I just would like to say that, you know, JMU has really stepped up its game in the 4 years that I've served on the board. The transition to the Sun Belt, the transition to whatever is next is going to only continue our national presence. And so it's important. We get it. And I look forward to having the dialogue with the board members on the 23rd so that we can make sure we capture the essence of how important athletics is to any university, and particularly JMU and the successes we have had recently.
Well, I appreciate people taking time again. This is a commitment of time, but a strategic plan is an important step as it refocuses the energy and resources of the university. And with that, I turn it over to the chair to maybe adjourn the meeting.
Yeah. Anybody have any objections? Otherwise, we will adjourn.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you,
Thanks,
Jim,
everybody.
and everybody, Matt.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.